What if God is defending you from things that you never see? Hi, friends. How do you know what the Old Testament really means? In this series, I'm showing you how the Old and New Covenants fit together like a divine puzzle, each piece revealing Jesus, his character, and his covenant with us. Today, we're looking at Numbers 21 to 24. In Numbers 21, verses 2 and 3, it says, "Then the people of Israel made this vow to the Lord. If you will hand over these people to us, we will completely destroy their towns. The Lord heard the Israelites' request and gave them victory over the Canaanites." Verse 4 and 5 says, "But the people grew impatient with the long journey, and they began to speak against Moses and God. 'There is nothing to eat here and nothing to drink, and we hate this horrible manna.'" I noticed that Israel learned a lesson from their dead fathers about going into battle without direction and blessing from God. When they did this, God answered their prayer and they were successful. God gave them several pre-Canaan opportunities to practice war, building up their confidence for the future. But what is mind-boggling is that concerning provision, they fell prey to the same spirit of grumbling as did the previous generation. Or perhaps it was the last remaining survivors who needed to die off. I can't help but wonder, when they needed water, why didn't they just ask God for it instead of complaining? God has been so faithful to answer their prayers. I feel like the lesson for us is not to let our hunger and thirst for perishable things, even things we need to live, come between our trust in God. It's not wrong to ask God for our daily needs. Jesus himself taught us to pray for them. This keeps our focus on our dependence on God, which we absolutely are. In fact, Israel was being watched over by God in ways they had no idea. While they were complaining about water, God was making a plan to protect them from a curse from an unseen to them enemy. He is worthy of our trust. The link is in Matthew 6, 9 to 11. "Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come soon. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today the food we need." Now, while Israel is doing all this complaining about the food God has provided, they are too busy to notice that Balak, king of Moab, is afraid to death of Israel because of all the victories God gave them in chapter 21. So he tries to hire a prophet to curse Israel on his behalf. Well, he tries to hire a prophet, but the prophet also apparently had heard all about the God of Israel and decides there is no way that he can speak against Israel unless God allows him to. 3 times Balak tries to convince Balaam to curse Israel, but God puts a blessing in Balaam's mouth. If you aren't familiar with this story, please go read it. It is hilarious and powerful because this story shows us a lot about God's character in contrast with human inadequacies. Even though Israel was very far from perfect, God was bound to protect them for the honor of his own name. Interestingly, it was Balaam who received this word about God in Numbers 23, verse 19. "God is not a man, so he does not lie. He is not human, so he does not change his mind. Has he ever spoken and failed to act? Has he ever promised and not carried it through?" This verse is part of a prophecy blessing Israel. When Balak was trying to pay Balaam to curse Israel, God gave the prophet 3 messages of blessing. So this tells me that 1, God has our back. He He won't let someone curse you for no reason. 2, God reiterates his character of faithfulness. Whatever he has promised, we will receive because it's God we put our trust in and he cannot fail. 3, God does not lie. Every word coming from his mouth is pure and will prove true. You can count on that. As children of God, we should be true to our word as well. If we make a promise, see it through. If our fellow believers cannot trust us, how can we expect God to trust us? I want to encourage us as children of God to practice being like God. And do it today. Don't wait. Don't lie. Keep your word. And bless others instead of cursing them. The link is in Hebrews 10:36. Patient endurance is what you need now so that you will continue to do God's will. Then you will receive all he has promised. Now, there's a really strange verse in Numbers 23:21, especially considering what we spoke about from chapter 21. The Message paraphrase says it like this. God said he had no bone to pick with Israel, and they had caused him no trouble. I'm sorry, what? Has God forgotten all the trouble Israel has caused? Their incessant complaining, their continual disobedience and rebellion, not to mention all the times he wanted to wipe them off the face of the earth for said offenses. I was really shaking my head until I read this verse in the Amplified. God has not beheld iniquity in Jacob, for he is forgiven. Neither has he seen mischief or perverseness in Israel, for the same reason. The Lord their God is with Israel, and the shout of praise to their king is among the people. This hit me with a ton of bricks. Of course, when God forgives sins, he does not remember them anymore. To the degree it's like they never even happened. That's what the revelation of our new covenant is all about. Oh, what grace, kindness, and mercy our God shows us. The link is in 2 Corinthians 5:19 and verse 21. For God was in Christ, reconciling the world to himself, no longer counting people's sins against them. For God made Christ, who never sinned, to be the offering for our sin, so that we could be made right with God through Christ. Well, that's all for today. I've placed additional scriptures for you in the description if you want to go deeper, and I really encourage you to do that. Until next time, I'm praying that God opens your eyes to the beauty of his covenant and the freedom it brings. Have a blessed week.